Hey everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make your very own Museum of Us diorama. So, oh, the ring light is making that kind of hard to see. But anyways, you only need a few things to make this, and it's actually pretty straightforward. So instead of spending money on a kit that has been pre-prepared by some random corporation, I'm going to show you how to make your own DIY version that looks arguably just as good, if not better, than the kits that you buy online. So the reason I say this is a viral craft is because on my TikTok, my Instagram, my Facebook, literally any social media that has ads, I have seen this pop up repeatedly for weeks and weeks and weeks. I don't know if it's a targeted ad, so maybe it's not showing up for other people, but it's showing up constantly for me. And finally, I was like, I've had enough of these ads. I'm taking matters into my own hands and I'm making my own. So here's a tutorial on how to make your very own Museum of Us. So there are a few mandatory items for this craft. The first being a shadow box of some kind, whether you buy one like I did. This is an 8" by 8" square shadow box. I believe it's about 2 inches deep. Or you make one yourself if you're that crafty, or like woodworky. You make one out of wood, make it out of cardboard, whatever you want. Some sort of miniature frame, small frame, and pictures of whoever you're making this for. Whether that's you're making it for your significant other, so it's pictures of you and them. You're making it for your mom for Mother's Day, so it's you and your mom, your best friend, whoever you're making it for, you need pictures. And probably some scissors and some kind of glue. Optional items include miniature plants, miniature people, and other things to kind of decorate, like LED lights or hanging things, I don't know, whatever else you want to decorate the little museum with. But what you truly need are the pictures, the frames, and a box to put them in. Bare minimum, the rest is just decoration. So I bought my shadow box off of Amazon because it was cheaper than if I went to Michael's and bought one. And then I also got these miniature frames and the little people from there as well. You can make your own out of, like, literally all of this can be made completely DIY. I don't know if it would be cheaper to do it like that or just buying the pieces and then assembling themselves if that's cheaper. Or there are kits that you can buy actually, but I wanted to show you how you make this by yourself. So I don't like that all of these people are white and look like they're related, so I probably will repaint a bunch of them. There's also a lot of them that are sitting and I don't have any miniature benches, so we'll see what to do about that. Same with these gold frames. You can make them yourself. They look like they're resin. So if you have a resin printer, you could print your own, or you could make them out of clay, turn it into a mold using silicone, and then make multiple of the same thing using that same mold. Or you can make them all by hand. I have 2 of each design because I bought these also on Amazon. And then these miniature plants I've just been collecting over time with all of the different miniature crafts that I make. So I have these 2 that I thought would work well based on the scale of our little people. These ones look kind of like miniature trees, and then these can just be like gigantic ferns or something like that. I don't know. I had flowers, but those seemed way too big for the size of the people. So without further ado, let's get into making the Museum of Us. First things first, unpack the shadow box to get that back piece of paper out and start arranging your frames. Okay, once you've found a layout that you're happy with all of your picture frames, I used 9 out of 10 of my frames, so that's pretty good. I did print out like all 10 pictures and enough frames, or enough pictures to fill the frames, but this is a square, so 9 just ended up fitting better. Once you've got them all laid out, I recommend taking a picture of your layout and then matching your picture frames with your pictures. If you choose to match your pictures to your frames first, that's also totally fine. And then maybe it saves you the step of taking a picture. But anyways, take a picture of how your frames are laid out on your piece of paper so that you don't lose the layout when you go to glue things together. So now that my picture frames are laid out like this, I've already taken a picture, and I have actually already assigned all of my frames to my different pictures. Because I chose to turn this one horizontally, I did have to sacrifice one of the larger frames, but that's just how it goes. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut out all of these little pictures, and then we will glue them into the back of the picture frames. Anybody else as a kid cut out temporary tattoos like this? No, just me? Anyways, so you're gonna go ahead and cut out each individual picture, leaving a small white border around the edge to make sure that you actually have somewhere that the glue will stick to. Before we go crazy with the gluing, actually, I'm coming back to offer one more piece of advice. Take a picture of the pictures in their frames in the correct orientation. If that is just how things worked out for you, that's awesome. I ended up switching a couple of the pictures around based on what I had already designated. You know, this picture is going with this frame. I changed it. So just keep taking pictures of the decisions that you make. That way you can refer back to it when you're assembling the whole thing. So I chose to use E6000 glue to glue my frames to my pictures because I can control how much comes out a little bit easier, and I wanted a really strong bond between the frames and the pictures themselves. And then I ended up going over the backs of them with some tape just for some extra security there. So once you've glued all of your pictures on and you still have some of this extra left over, if you've used pretty strong glue, you should just be able to slide your scissors a little bit in between the picture and the frame and just snip off the extra like that. It'll leave kind of like a weird jagged cut, but that's the back and nobody cares about that. So we'll do the same thing for all the corners, and then you have your finished picture frame. So I've gone ahead and done that for all 8 other frames. As you can see, they're all kind of laying face down. And that was just so that I could make sure that I actually trimmed all of the edges off that I needed to. If you want to be more precise, you can go around with like an X-Acto knife or something to get the exact shape, but I didn't want to do that. So I just went ahead and made some really crude cuts where they were necessary. Before we mount our pictures to our back wall, what you want to think about is, what color do I want the wall to be? You can keep it white. Mine came white, so that's an easy option for me. Something else that I have considered for mine specifically is to use black as a wallpaper, because that was one of my wedding colors and these are all my like actual wedding pictures. So what you could do is just lay down a piece of colored paper and see, do I like the way that it looks with all of these on the black piece of paper? Do I like it more than the white, or whatever color you've chosen? Or if you just want to keep it white, that is totally fine as well. I think I like it with the black more just because it makes the frames pop a little bit. And then I just have to decide on whether I'm going to make these pieces black as well. I think I probably will, because it might look a little weird if we have just the back wallpaper in black, you know? So I'm probably going to cut strips, probably at the bottom of this actually, along the side to fill those gaps, and then we'll do something else for the floor and leave the ceiling white. That's going to be my plan for mine. You can choose whatever colors you want. You can paint the inside of the box. You can paint the white background it comes with if yours comes with a white background. You can do whatever you want with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this square to the correct shape, and then also cut out the pieces for the side, and we will glue them into their right places. Alrighty, so I've cut out the pieces for the walls out of black paper, and then I printed off this like wooden flooring. I just printed it off. So you, again, could make your own out of like little popsicle sticks or skewers or something, but I didn't want it to be uneven because these people are already uneven enough. So flat paper, that's gonna be the floor, and then I made this thin strip to be like a piece of trim to go along the bottom. I picked out 2 plants that I like the white pot. I think it's kind of sophisticated. Ooh, there's a bunch of like hot glue strings that I gotta get rid of out of here. And then I picked my favorite people out of the pack. I will probably, like I said, paint these so that they're not all people who look related. Oh, I forgot one lady, very demure looking lady. There's only one of those in the pack. And then I have a popsicle stick here that I think I'm gonna turn into a bench, because these people are teeny tiny, and even if I use like one of these little cubes, that looks really silly to have that person that far off the ground. So we're gonna make our own bench with a singular popsicle stick. Now what I'm gonna do is put in the wall pieces and the floor into our shadow box, and then I'm gonna figure out how I want to attach these pieces to the back wall. So I glued the piece of flooring in with just a regular glue stick, pressing it down with my fingers. I printed it on thinner paper so it was easier to kind of fold in the front edge. And then for the side pieces, I used hot glue and a glue stick because, again, folding it in the front, the paper was much stiffer, so it didn't want to stick down without the hot glue. we went back to the glue stick for the trim pieces, and then to glue the trim on the back, I just lined up the back piece in the frame. Okay, now that the trim is along the bottom, I've organized all of my picture frames. Now is the scary part of gluing them down. So I'm gonna use hot glue. I'm hoping that it's gonna stay once the pictures are like upright. I had this problem with a different diorama of mine where the glue did not last, but we're hoping for the best here. I'm gonna start with this picture because it is the center one and everything is kind of built around that. You might be able to tell that I'm leaving ample space along these 3 borders because obviously if the trim is this far away from the edge, then there's only so much of this that's going to be seen. I don't have an exact measurement because it doesn't line up very nicely in centimeters. So this is just a guess. And that's kind of a lot of what art is. So I'm gonna go ahead and start gluing and fingers crossed this ends up working out. So now that everything's glued down, hot glue dries really quick so we don't have to worry about, you know, dry times and whatever. So now I'm actually just gonna pick this up very carefully and sort of put it in the back of the frame, or actually what I could just do is go like this, and then we'll be able to see kind of what it's gonna look like, which I really like the way that that looks actually. I think that's awesome. And you could be finished here, but we aren't gonna be done here. So this is either the end if you don't wanna add any other embellishments, because I'm adding in my little tiny plants, tiny people, and a little bench. We have a little bit more work to do. 2 coats of white paint later, these are our little figurines. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and mix up some different skin tones. We'll paint the skin first and then paint the clothes after that. This may have been a giant mistake, but we'll find out shortly. And you don't know unless you try, right? So here we go. So this is the real-time footage of me painting these little miniature figurines. Needless to say, it took quite a while, but I'm really happy with the way that they turned out, so I'm glad I did it. I just didn't choose to film most of it because it's an optional step in this DIY. Many hours later, our little people are painted, and now we're gonna make the bench. So I just did this for proof of concept, but I have these teeny tiny little wire cutters, and I was able to chop the end off of the popsicle stick. So I'm just gonna go ahead and chop the other end of this using these little wire cutters, and then I'm gonna sand the end of it so that it's not sharp anymore. Then I'll figure out what to do for some legs, and then the bench will be pretty much done. After hacking off that last little bit of the popsicle stick and sanding it down, I had no idea what I was going to do for legs, but I ended up finding these 2 pony beads that were the same size, also the same color. And instead of painting them, because I had literally just put the paint away, I decided to get out some ribbon and hot glue ribbon around the circumference of the circle. That way I didn't have to fiddle with paint and whatnot. And then I just hot glued it to the bottom and then glued the people on, and it actually ended up looking pretty good for something so simple. Okay, the bench is done. The people are glued onto the bench, so now it's finally time to assemble the entire thing. This is where we left off with our frame. So the ceiling is white, the walls are black, and then we have our flooring here. Okay, so what I've done is I've leaned up our back wall against the front of the shadow box. So this is like it's backwards. And then I'm just gonna kind of arrange the little miniatures the way that I want them. So we'll put one plant over in this corner. We'll put another one in the opposite corner. The bench is gonna go in the center. And because we're doing this from the back, it's gonna look like the people aren't looking at anything. But that is false because they're looking at the pictures. We're just reversed here. So I wanna make sure that that's kind of even on the side there. And then I'm pretty sure the other people are not going to stand up by themselves. I think this guy is the only one, questionable, that is attempting to stand by himself. Yeah, that's not quite gonna work. So I'm just gonna lean them up against the glass for now. And then once I'm happy with the position, then we'll glue them all in. Note to self, clean the back window before you start gluing in your little people, if that's the route you've chosen to go. Because it's very difficult to clean around the tiny people. Okay, the last thing for us to do now that we've glued all of our people in is just attach the back and peel off the protective outer coating, and then we'll be all done. And this is the finished product. It's a little bit hard to see with the glass reflecting in there, but as you can see, I have my little people in the front, and then I have all the pictures from my wedding there. Everything turned out really well. Actually, I just can't get this last little piece of plastic out of the frame, but we're going to ignore that. So I will take some better pictures in better light And then that is it for the whole craft. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment down below, subscribe to my channel. I post new videos on Mondays or Wednesdays, kind of whenever I have time, usually about twice a month. So I hope you have a lovely week, and I will see you all in the next video.